Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is George, and for today's video, I want to talk about just a simple update on what's been happening with the protests in Serbia, and also, by the way, if you hear cars passing by or birds chirping somewhere or anything else, um, like yeah, my window is currently open and it's probably and there are a lot of noises coming from the streets. So yeah, to begin with, um, back in November 2024, the collapse of a railway station in Novi Sad killed 16 people and and also be and injured others and uh, this whole thing kind of was was shocking to the nation. Um uh and for which critics are uh for which citizens are blaming corruption, um um government negligence and other things, and a lot of it's and a lot of the protesters are largely organized student demonstrations. Um, Protesters argue that there that that the whole collapse was not an accident, that it reflects deeper problems with the political system, corruption, lack of transparency, and and protesters and pressures largely on independent media, calling for er, early par- parliamentary elections, um, in independent investigations into corruption, and greater media freedom. And like I said, this is all kind of being headed by largely by university students. So yeah, keep that in mind. Um, in May 2026, Serbia is witnessing some of its largest demonstrations. Tens of thousands of people, of protesters gathered, demanding political change and elections. Um, uh, and and all and the participants are largely estimated to be in 100,000 protesters. Obviously, um, protests remain peaceful during the day, but clashes happen during the night, in which the in which the civilians and policemen are are clashing. Tear gas has been used, and some people were detained. Um, in response, President Vucic and his government are arguing that the recent that 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 the protests are 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 not are kind of pointless, or don't are pointless, and he's and is basic in is and it's basically saying that it's doing its best to protect the average person, but uh but but critics and outside observers have have argued that Serbia is becoming less democratic, which President Vucic has denied largely, obviously. But yeah, o- outside observers are obviously saying this, and they're basically calling for early elections, a a pressure into in a pressure into investigating corruption and and also a freedom on independence media, because there's also pressure on independent media, like yeah, there is pressure on independent media. So yeah, um currently, as I have probably currently, from what I remember, the there are still some protests ongoing, like I said, um, which which it which it certainly has supporters, but it's not really changing the government. Um, um, uh, even now, like I said, Vucic hasn't changed his tune on largely the accusations and things like that. Now, now where I'm from, I don't really hear much about Serbian protests because the media here in my country has largely moved on for some reason, or I don't really remember even being reported. But yeah, um as to what's going to happen, I guess we'll have to see what happens. So yeah, I just hope things change for the better, and Serbia becomes better for its people. So yeah, if you're watching this interview and you're from Serbia, hi, hello. Um, um, I, I'm from Bulgaria, and I hope you're doing fine. So yeah, um, so yeah, so yeah. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye.